My world shattered when I discovered my husband Benjamin's infidelity on our anniversary. The betrayal cut deeper when I learned he had a secret wife, Julia, and a child with her, a child that was actually mine, born through Julia as my surrogate. After a brutal fight with Julia and Benjamin, woke up from a coma to find myself face to face with Theophilus Rylan, the ruthless Lycan king who had destroyed my family. He revealed a shocking truth. He was my mate, and I was bound to him. With a twisted proposal, he offered to help me exact revenge on Benjamin in exchange for a 1-year marriage. Torn between my thirst for revenge and my hatred for Theophilus, agreed to the union. But on our mating ceremony day, Benjamin's explosive revelation changed everything. Theophilus was manipulating me, using me to prolong his life. In a shocking turn of events, stabbed Theophilus, and now I face imprisonment for Chapter 1. George's POV. I stood frozen, my eyes fixed on the black lace panty in my hand. Benjamin's suit jacket lay on the bed, and I had been arranging it for our anniversary dinner, but now, my world was crumbling. I just stood in shock as tears streamed down my eyes. I just found another woman's pants in my husband's pocket on our anniversary dinner. Benjamin, what is a woman's thong doing in your suit pocket? I demanded, my voice trembling. Benjamin stepped out of the bathroom, a towel wrapped around his waist. What's wrong, love? I heard you scream. I held up the panty. This. How did it get in your suit pocket? So you've been cheating on me, Benjamin. 6 years of loyalty, and this is what I get? Infidelity. Why would you do this to me? Benjamin's face turned calm.
Oh, that?
It must have been a mix-up from the laundry service. I narrowed my eyes. A mix-up? Do I look like a fool to you? How can you call this a mistake? Benjamin, your suit smells like a woman's cologne. Benjamin shrugged. These things happen. If you think I'm lying, go ahead and call the laundry company to file a complaint. How can you accuse me of cheating? You don't even trust me. I'm disappointed in you, Georgia. Benjamin, that's not what. But he slammed the door in my face, leaving me bewildered. At the Alpha's ball, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. My best friend, Zoe, picked up on my unease. What's wrong? You've been acting strange, and everyone is starting to notice, she said, pulling me into a corner of the hall. I leaned closer, whispering, I found a woman's panty in Benjamin's suit pocket. He says it was just a laundry mix-up. Zoe's eyes went wide, but before she could say anything, a woman entered the hall, holding a young boy's hand. She approached Benjamin on stage and snatched the microphone from him. What is happening? I was about to call the beta to deal with the disrespect and have her thrown out when she began to speak. Hello, everyone, Julia said, her voice steady. I'm Julia Henchett, Alpha Benjamin's secret wife. We have a child together, and I'm done hiding. Benjamin's face flushed with anger. He tried to take the mic back from Julia, but she held on firmly. Let me finish, Julia shouted, her voice resonating throughout the hall. Benjamin and I have been together for 4 years. He told me he was tired of his wife, that she was disgusting and couldn't give him children. He promised to leave her for me, but it's been 4 years now, and I'm exhausted. I'm here to claim my place as Luna. The room erupted into chaos. I felt as if I had been punched in the stomach. This had to be a nightmare. Someone, please wake me up. My wolf growled with jealousy, and without thinking, I kicked off my shoes and charged at Benjamin, tears streaming down my face. How could you, Benjamin? How could you do this to me? I slapped him, and he pleaded for forgiveness. I grabbed his shirt, ripping it apart. You're cheating on me? After everything I've done for you? I picked you from the gutters, you foolish rogue, made you alpha, even gave you my kidney when you were sick. And this is how you repay me. Benjamin's face contorted with rage. I need a mate who can provide me with an heir, not a barren wife. I repeated his words over and over until I picked up the knife from the table, ready to strike. But Julia stepped in, shoving me away. Don't you dare touch my man. I'm a very possessive she-wolf, and he belongs to me now. We clashed, fighting and screaming. The little boy cried, begging me to leave his mom alone. Leave my mommy. Stop pulling mommy's hair. Daddy, do something. Hearing the child call my mate daddy and knowing I would never have children of my own again fueled my rage, and I began to hit her harder and harder. So, you think you can just waltz in here and take my mate from me, huh?
Punch.
Do you have any idea of the sacrifices I've made for him?
Punch.
By the time I'm finished with you, you won't even recognize your own face.
Punch.
But tragically, the last punch struck the child's head. He fell, hitting his head on the floor, and then he stopped breathing. I trembled as I scrambled off Julia's body, desperate to explain. I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry. But Benjamin turned away from me, his eyes filled with disgust. You're a murderer, Georgia. You killed my son. Your jealousy and rage has consumed you. You're a monster, Georgia. I hate you so much. I reject you, Georgia Phillips, as my mate and Luna. Julia picked up the knife, her eyes blazing with fury, and before I could react, she plunged the knife into my chest, stabbing me repeatedly. I felt my body growing cold, my heart slowing as Julia's knife continued to pierce my skin again and again. The sound of my own labored breathing was the last thing I heard before everything went dark. Chapter 2, Georgia's POV. I slowly opened my eyes, my mind foggy as I tried to make sense of my surroundings. The room was a blur of white, with a hint of disinfectant lingering in the air. A soft beeping sound from a nearby machine filled the silence, and a persistent ache throbbed in my chest. "Thank God you're awake," Zoe exclaimed, her voice trembling with relief. "Can you hear me, Georgia?" I turned my head, and Zoe's anxious face came into focus. Her eyes were puffy, and her complexion looked drained, as if she hadn't slept in weeks. "Zoe." My voice came out raspy and weak. What? What happened? Am I still alive? I thought I was dead. Tears brimmed in Zoe's eyes. "You've been in a coma for 3 months, Georgia. I thought I'd lost you." As I scanned the room, my gaze fell on the 4-pole next to my bed, the clear tube running into my arm. Memories of Benjamin's betrayal flooded back, and I felt a wave of anger wash over me. "What about Benjamin?" I demanded, my voice shaking with rage. "Please tell me that monster isn't still out there after everything he did." Zoe's expression turned somber. "Sadly, he is. He married Julia, his mistress, and the child survived. He only fainted that day." My eyes narrowed, my mind racing with thoughts of revenge. But before I could respond, the door swung open, and Theophilus Rylan, the ruthless Lycan king of the Nightshade Pack, strode into the room. His intense gaze met mine, sending a chill racing down my spine. "Georgia," he said, his voice deep and authoritative. "I see you're awake. How are you feeling?" Zoe immediately lowered her head in respect, which left me bewildered. "Zoe, why are you bowing to him? Why are you showing respect to the enemy?" I demanded, my anger bubbling over. Zoe's eyes flicked nervously between Theophilus and me before she spoke. "Alpha Theophilus saved your life, Georgia. Benjamin was going to burn your body because we all thought you were gone, but while I was pleading, Alpha Theophilus showed up." I turned my gaze back to Theophilus Rylan, fury igniting within me. This man, this monster, was responsible for my parents' deaths. I would never forgive him. "Listen, you monster," I shouted, my voice quaking with rage. "I don't care if you saved my life. I want you to leave. Just leave me alone." Theophilus Rylan remained calm, yet a spark of mischief danced in his eyes. "You can't chase me away, Georgia. This is my pack, and you're my mate." I squinted, bewildered. "Mate? What are you saying?" A voice echoed in my mind, my wolf's voice, bubbling with excitement. "We have our second chance, mate. We have our second chance, mate. Theophilus is our mate." I shook my head, attempting to dispel the confusion. "No, this can't be true. You're a killer. You took my parents' lives. I can't be bonded to you." I shouted in fury, ripping the 4 from my wound, blood seeping from the injury. Theophilus Rylan's expression hardened. "I am not a killer, Georgia. Your parents broke the law, and they faced the consequences." I let out a harsh laugh, tinged with bitterness. You think I'll buy that? You're just trying to rationalize what you did. Theophilus Rylan's gaze bore into mine, fierce and unwavering. You don't know the whole story, Georgia. Until you do, reserve your judgment. I shot him a furious look, my heart racing with rage. The truth doesn't matter to me. What matters is this. You are not my mate, and I reject Dash, but his next words froze me in place. You bear my mark, Georgia. I'm stronger than you, a Lycan, and as you know, wolves cannot reject Lycans without facing death.
No.
I hate you. You can't be my mate. This is all wrong. You had no right to mark me without my consent. I shouted, my voice echoing through the room. Theophilus Rylan's expression turned calm, his voice dropping to a whisper. Just give me 1 year, Georgia. Be with me for a year, and let me show you that I'm not the person you think I am. If you still don't love me after that, you can reject me then. I glared at him, my heart seething with anger. Let me reject you right now. I spat, my voice venomous. Why would I ever fall for you after a year? Theophilus Rylan's gaze never wavered. Because I want to help you get revenge. You don't deserve what Benjamin did to you. My eyes narrowed, my mind racing with skepticism. What do you know about Benjamin? Theophilus Rylan's voice dropped to a whisper. I was there in the hospital that day, Georgia Dash. What are you saying? I stammered, my breath catching in my throat. Theophilus Rylan's words sent a shiver down my spine. I was in the hospital on the day of your IVF insemination. I had a checkup and overheard Benjamin talking to the doctor. My heart skipped a beat. What did you hear? Theophilus Rylan's eyes locked onto mine. To you, Julia is just Benjamin's mistress, but she was also your surrogate. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. What do you mean? Theophilus Rylan's voice was barely above a whisper. The child that Julia says is hers is yours. Chapter 3 George's POV. I stood there, paralyzed, my eyes fixed on the elder's lips as he spoke the words that would determine my destiny. Georgia, do you accept Theophilus Rylan as your mate and alpha, pledging to love and honor him until death? Did I really have a choice? Whether I said yes or no wouldn't alter the reality that this union was a farce, a snare. Theophilus had claimed it would be a 1-year marriage, but that year loomed ahead like an endless stretch of time. Yes, I do, I replied, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Theophilus beamed, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Once I exact my revenge on Benjamin, Theophilus would be next for the role he played in my parents' deaths. I didn't trust him at all. His motives for aiding me were a mystery, especially since he was supposed to hate me. I wouldn't hesitate to take him down before he could turn the tables on me. Alpha Theophilus Rylan, do you take Georgia Lecter as your mate and Luna, pledging to love and protect her until death? Yes, I do. The atmosphere was thick with tension, the fragrance of blooming flowers mingling with the soft murmur of chants, creating an almost dreamlike setting. I nodded, my heart heavy with the knowledge that I was ensnared. I felt no affection for Theophilus. In truth, I could barely stand him. But I needed his power and position to fulfill my quest for vengeance. With the authority granted to me as the first elder of this pack, I declare you husband and wife. You may now present your rings before the initiations, the elder announced, and the crowd cheered once more. Just as we were about to exchange rings, chaos erupted at the edge of the clearing. Benjamin charged in, his face wild, and his hair a disheveled mess.
Stop.
You can't go through with this, Georgia, he shouted, pushing his way through the throng. Theophilus growled, rage flashing in his eyes. Benjamin, do you have any idea whose pack this is? You're ruining my mating ceremony. Guards, seize him. Benjamin paid him no mind, his focus solely on me as he fought with the guards. Georgia, you need to listen. I know you hate me, but please, Theophilus is manipulating you. He's been around for centuries and has made a deal with a demon to prolong his life. You're the key to his survival. He's going to kill you, just like he did your parents. A wave of confusion washed over me, my thoughts spiraling with the weight of his words. What was Benjamin saying? Theophilus snarled, his teeth bared in rage. You're nothing but a fool. Is this the best you can do? Gosh, I even thought you were smart. So, you really got nerves, huh? I'll make you pay, Benjamin, and I'll tear you apart. The guards moved in to subdue Benjamin, but he fought against them fiercely. Georgia, don't trust him. He's just using you. Use your head. You're his next target. I know you don't want to die, but you'll have to kill him first. Grab the sword of authority from the table and stab him. You've always wanted revenge for what he did to your parents. You don't have time. Do it now before it's too late. My heart racing wildly, I seized the sword, feeling its reassuring weight in my grip. Theophilus's gaze was fixed on mine, his demeanor calm and soothing. Don't let him get to you, Georgia. He's just trying to mess with your head. How would you believe a man who betrayed you over a man who is trying to save you? He is just exploiting your vulnerability. Don't pay him any heed. But I was already in motion, my wolf's instincts roaring a warning in my mind. I lifted the sword, and with a swift motion, I drove it into Theophilus's chest. His blood splattered across the pristine fabric of his suit, and he staggered back, gasping for breath. No. Georgie, why? Theophilus murmured, his eyes brimming with betrayal. I stood there, frozen, the sword still embedded in him. I don't love you, I hissed. I don't want you. You're a vile monster. Suddenly, the pack warriors rushed forward, grabbing my arms and forcing me to the ground. I fought against their grip, but they overpowered me effortlessly. As the pack members began hurling objects at me for killing their alpha, Benjamin's voice rang out across the clearing, filled with mockery and triumph. Since you decided to show your stupid face in my life again, I manipulated you to take a life with your own hands. Enjoy your time in prison for the rest of your wretched existence for killing a Lycan. The roar of his car speeding off was the final sound I registered before the guard seized me, tossing me into a cold, shadowy cell. Chapter 4. George's POV. I sank against the frigid, damp wall of my cell, tears welling in my eyes. How could I have been so foolish? I thought I had finally discovered a way to exact my revenge, only to realize I was merely a pawn in Benjamin's scheme. Benjamin, if I ever get my hands on you, I swear I'll make you pay. I'll destroy you for everything you've done to me. I shouted through my tears, pounding my fists against the wall. 2 weeks had passed in this hell, the worst of my life. I had endured suffering on every level. From hunger to relentless beatings and grueling labor, was this to be my existence until my last breath? I buried my face in my hands, sobbing uncontrollably. Moon goddess, forgive me, I murmured, my voice trembling with regret. I let my thirst for vengeance blind me. Please grant me another chance to set things right. Just as I completed my plea, the sound of footsteps echoed outside my cell. The guards appeared, their expressions cold and unyielding. Get up, prisoner, one of them barked, seizing my arm and dragging me from the cell. I stumbled, my bare feet scraping against the floor, my body weak from days of confinement. Where are you taking me? I cried out, but they paid no heed, pulling me through the twisting hallways of the pack's headquarters. Please, just let me go. Don't kill me. Someone help me. We finally reached a grand, ornate door that swung open to reveal a lavish room adorned with luxurious furnishings. At the far end, a regal woman with striking green eyes and silver hair sat on a throne-like chair, her gaze fixed on me with disdain. The guards shoved me forward, and I fell to my knees before her. She raised her hand, and I braced myself for a blow. Instead, she struck me hard across the face, the force of the slap sending me crashing to the ground. You're the fool who attempted to take my son's life, she hissed, her tone dripping with venom. You're fortunate he survived, or you'd be facing a fate far worse than death. You absolute moron. Please, I was misled. I beg you, have mercy. If you just let me explain, you'll see that I never intended for this to happen. I was just overwhelmed with anger. I dashed silence. You foolish idiot. By the time I'm done with you, you'll be begging for death. You tried to kill my only son. You turned him into a joke among the lower-ranking alphas, and worst of all, you caused him immense suffering. All for what? just because he was trying to be kind to you. I shrank back, shielding my head with my hands as her blows fell upon me like a relentless storm. Please forgive me. I swear it won't happen again, I sobbed. Of course it won't happen again, because today marks your last day on this earth, and soon you'll be greeting your wretched parents in hell. But just as abruptly as it had started, the assault ceased. I looked up, tears streaming down my cheeks, to find Theophilus standing in the doorway, a bandage wrapped around his midsection. His gaze locked onto mine, and I felt a surge of shock. "Mother, don't you dare touch my mate," he growled, his voice filled with fury. His mother's face flushed with anger. "Have you lost your mind, Theophilus? She tried to kill you. She claimed she didn't love you on your wedding day, and now you're defending her? She's the reason for your suffering, the reason you nearly died. Let me handle her, please." Theophilus's demeanor remained composed, but his eyes sparked with a warning. "Don't concern yourself with me, mother. I can manage my own affairs. Please, let this be the last time you meddle in my marriage." "Excuse me, mother." He turned to me, his expression softening. "Georgia, come with me." I managed to get back on my feet, every part of me protesting from the recent ordeal. Yet, I trailed behind Theophilus, uncertain of what awaited us. We made our way to his room in silence, the air thick with unspoken words. Once we reached our destination, I couldn't hold back the flood of tears, emotions crashing over me like waves. "I'm so sorry, Theophilus," I cried, my voice trembling. "I was led astray. I never intended to hurt you. That's not who I am. If it means atonement, I wouldn't mind if you had to kill me or offer me to your demon. Just please, find it in your heart to forgive me." Theophilus's face was serious, but there was no trace of anger in his eyes, only a deep sadness. "It's all right, Georgia," he replied softly. "We can discuss this later. For now, take a moment to gather yourself. The Omegas will bring you some food. We still have our revenge plan to finalize." Chapter 5. Georgia's POV. I was still trying to process the whirlwind of the last few hours. One moment, I was staring down the barrel of death, and the next, Theophilus was standing up for me against his own mother. It was all too much to comprehend. As I struggled to make sense of it, I heard a familiar voice call out from behind me. "Georgia." I turned to see my best friend, Zoe, sprinting toward me, her face lit up with a radiant smile. We embraced tightly, both of us with tears in our eyes. "I've missed you so much," Zoe murmured, pulling back to look at me. "I was terrified for you. I convinced Theophilus to see the good in you and pleaded for your freedom. He believes you have a good heart. I swear, Benjamin needs to pay for what he did. How dare he think he can hurt you and walk away unscathed?" I was still expressing my gratitude to Zoe when a guard stepped in. "The Alpha requests your presence in his meeting room." We followed the guard to the meeting room, where Theophilus was already waiting for us. He gestured for us to sit and offered us drinks, but my nerves kept me from touching anything. The atmosphere was thick with tension, and I couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty about what Theophilus had in store. Finally, I broke the silence. "Why are you being so kind to me?" I asked Theophilus, my voice barely audible. He smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling with warmth. "You're my mate, Georgia. I made a vow to you at the altar, and I intend to honor it. We exchanged our promises, and I'm not one to go back on my word." His words sent a flutter through my chest, but I quickly pushed it aside. I had too many unanswered questions. "But why are you helping me? Don't pretend you don't understand why I'm asking." I despise dishonesty. "You're not supposed to care for me. I've hurt you, taken your kindness for granted. Nearly caused your death, and you survived by mere chance. Why are you doing all this?" I asked, my voice trembling. "You took my parents from me. We should be enemies." Theophilus's demeanor shifted, his gaze becoming serious as he leaned closer. "Georgia, you have it all wrong. I didn't kill your parents. They were the ones who harmed my family. Their deaths were the result of a tragic misunderstanding. They were in business with my parents and sent hitmen after my father. I despised them for that. It felt as if the wind had been knocked out of me." "What? My parents were good people. They would never do something like that. Theophilus's tone remained calm and soothing. Your parents aimed to eliminate me as well, Georgia. They were after the company documents and would stop at nothing to obtain them. But fate intervened, and the bullet struck your father instead. Your mother, she couldn't cope with the grief and took her own life. I was left in shock, unable to find my voice. It was as if my entire world had been built on a lie, directing my anger at Theophilus for something he hadn't done. Is this really true? But my father's men said your pack sent the assassins, I murmured, tears streaming down my cheeks. I feel so naive for hating you all this time. I don't even know how to process this. Why? Theophilus's expression softened further, and he gently brushed away my tears. There's no need to apologize, Georgia. We can't alter what's happened, but we can choose how to move forward. If you want proof, I can show you everything I have about your family. It's in my study. But honestly, I believe we shouldn't let our family's pasts dictate our future. They've lived their lives. Now it's our turn to focus on the present and seek revenge on Benjamin. At that moment, Zoe chimed in, a playful sparkle in her eyes. I've been looking into Benjamin's finances, and let's just say he's been involved in some shady activities. My interest piqued, and I leaned in closer, eager to learn more. Zoe pressed on. Thanks to my friend who's employed at the company, I managed to break into Benjamin's account. And you won't believe it. He's been diverting company funds into a joint account with Julia. My fury erupted, and I pounded my fist on the table. That monster. He's been sabotaging everything I've worked for. This company is my lifeblood, and Benjamin thinks he can destroy my legacy? I'll make him pay. Theophilus's demeanor shifted to icy resolve as he rose, his eyes blazing with intensity. Now is not the moment for finger-pointing, Georgia. It's time to take action. And that begins right now. Chapter 6. Georgia's POV. Benjamin had the audacity to waste my money and throw party after party, thinking I was out of the picture. Now it's time for him to see my darker side. Zoe, who had been my eyes and ears regarding Benjamin, informed me that he was continuing his usual Friday gatherings for his friends, just like he had been for months. I left Zoe in the car with Theophilus's warriors, ready to call on them if things spiraled out of control. Taking a deep breath, I stepped out of the car and donned my veil to conceal my identity. My mission was clear: confront Benjamin and his foolish accomplice Julia, drive them away from my pack, and reclaim my son. I burst into the party, my gaze sweeping the room for Benjamin. The music blared and laughter filled the air, but I couldn't help but smirk at their ignorance of the storm about to hit. There he was, Benjamin, right in the middle of the room, wearing a smug grin. I strode toward him, my heart racing with fury. "Cut the music," I shouted, my voice slicing through the noise. The music screeched to a halt, and all eyes turned to me. Gasps filled the air as I pulled off my veil, and some guests recoiled, fear etched on their faces. "Ghost!" someone screamed, and pandemonium erupted. Guests scrambled for the exits, shouting in terror. Benjamin's confident demeanor wavered, and he took a step back, his expression shifting to one of suspicion. "I thought you were dead," he spat. "How are you alive?"
Guards.
"Someone, seize this woman. She's dangerous. Don't forget how she nearly killed my son. We can't let her escape again." I let out a chilling laugh, the sound echoing ominously. "You wished for my demise, Benjamin, but the moon goddess had different intentions. My mate Theophilus isn't a monster like you. He understood I was manipulated and forgave me. Your schemes have crumbled. Now, I'm here for revenge. I'm here to reclaim my pack. You must be out of your mind. This pack belongs to me, Georgia. You're stuck in the past, and that's where you'll stay. I may have stumbled twice, but this time, I'll ensure I take you down myself and serve your bones to the rogues for dinner." Benjamin's face contorted with fury as he unsheathed a dagger from his belt. He hurled it at me, but I sidestepped effortlessly, my heart racing with exhilaration.
Ooh.
"Impressive throw, Benjamin. Remember when I taught you how to throw a dagger? I thought you had it all figured out, but back then, you were just a pathetic omega. I tried to give you a better life, but what did you do? You turned your back on me. The pack, the company, and all the wealth you're enjoying, it's all mine. Just because you created me doesn't mean I owe you my loyalty. Loyalty is a choice, and I've made mine. Julia is the woman I love, and we have a son together, so back off. This pack is mine now.
Guards.
Take her away. I chuckled, the sound reverberating through the room. I made you alpha, and I can just as easily strip you of that title. You seem to forget that without the ring of authority and the pack documents, you're nothing. Benjamin's face flushed with anger as he stepped closer, but I was prepared. I signaled to the guards, who advanced to restrain Benjamin and bind him. It's over, Benjamin, I stated, my tone icy and unemotional. You've lost. Now, you must face the repercussions of your choices. Just then, Julia burst into the hall, her eyes blazing with fury. What are you doing with my mate? She shouted, her voice reverberating off the walls. Benjamin writhed against his restraints, panic evident in his eyes. We're finished, he murmured, tears streaming down his cheeks. Georgia is here for revenge. She still holds the pack. What do you mean she rejected you? She's not your mate anymore, and you're the alpha. What are you talking about? I thought so too, but I'm no alpha without the ring of authority. As soon as Benjamin finished speaking, Julia's face drained of color, fury igniting in her eyes as she drew a dagger from her belt. You deceived me. I always thought you were foolish, but this is beyond belief. You've been lying to me all along, haven't you? She shouted, closing the distance between them. You swore to provide the pack documents. You said I would be in control. I'll end you. I never loved you. I was just stalling for time until you handed over the pack documents, and then I'll eliminate you and take command of the pack. Chapter 7. George's POV. Benjamin had come to a harsh realization about his past mistakes. He fixed his icy stare on Julia. So this was your scheme from the start? He hissed, venom dripping from his words. For a brief moment, Julia's confident smile wavered, but she quickly regained her poise. Absolutely, Benjamin. Did you really think I had feelings for you? Here's a reality check. I don't love you. I never have, and never will. You're not even my type. I was after your money, and I'm already bound to someone else in my pack. Anger and betrayal twisted Benjamin's features. You played me, he growled, his eyes burning with rage. Julia merely shrugged, her face betraying no remorse. You were eager to be played, Benjamin. Your ambition and thirst for power blinded you to the fact that you were being used. And since you were so naive, I decided to toy with you until I got what I wanted and could toss you aside for good. I observed the confrontation between Benjamin and Julia with a sense of satisfaction. It was high time Benjamin faced the reality of Julia's true motives. He turned to me, desperation in his eyes. Georgia, please forgive me. I made a mistake, I promise. I want to make amends. I didn't know what I was doing. I realize now how foolish I was, but please, give me a chance to fix this. I let out a chilling laugh. It's far too late for apologies, Benjamin. You've hurt me twice, and I won't let that go. If I had died, and you were living off my money, would you still be begging? You're only pleading now because you're trapped and know there's no way out. Enjoy your final moments in the spotlight, Benjamin. He sank to his knees, clutching my feet as he pleaded for forgiveness. Please, Georgia, I'll do anything. I want you back. I shook my head, my tone resolute. That's not possible, Benjamin. I'm with someone else now. Someone who loves and respects me. Someone who would never betray me like you did. Someone you nearly drove me to kill with your treachery. I hate you so much. Benjamin's expression twisted in despair as the harsh reality sank in. He had lost me for good, and there was nothing he could do to reverse that. I faced Julia and Benjamin, my tone icy and emotionless. You have 2 weeks to leave the pack's territory. If I see you here after that, I will report you to the authorities and pursue legal action. Julia shot back with a sneer, her eyes blazing with fury. Goodbye to bad news. I'm heading back to my pack. Farewell, Benjamin. It was fun while it lasted.
Not so fast, Julia.
My lawyers will be in touch. You were meant to be my surrogate, but you took my child and violated your contract. Benjamin made me do it. She yelled. Prepare to face the consequences, and don't even think about leaving this pack with anything. Not a single cent. Everything you have now is my money, so get out. Before I do something I might regret. Please, let's discuss this. You know it's cruel to take a son away from his father. Don't take my son from me. Oh, really? But it's perfectly fine to take a son away from his mother, right? You're pathetic, Benjamin. I can't believe I ever loved someone like you. Tears streamed down Benjamin's face as Zoe brought my son to me, and I kissed him tenderly. It felt surreal to finally embrace my role as a mother. 2 weeks, Benjamin. Or I will make you pay. I warned, my eyes blazing with fury. I turned sharply, with Zoe following closely as I stormed out of the hall, my anger palpable. I jumped into the car and sped off, glancing in the rearview mirror to see Benjamin chasing after me, a smirk creeping onto my face. It felt satisfying to witness him experience the same anguish I felt when he left me shattered. About an hour later, I arrived at my office, my face still contorted with rage. I couldn't believe that many of my employees were untrustworthy and had colluded with Benjamin to tarnish the company's reputation through illegal activities. Everyone out now, I shouted, my voice reverberating through the room. I'm closing this company down and revamping it entirely. You're all dismissed, and I will be reporting each of you to the authorities. Leave immediately. The employees exchanged stunned glances, hastily grabbing their things as they hurried out of the office. As I observed them exit, a wave of satisfaction washed over me. I turned to my son, who was gazing at me with wide eyes. How about we enjoy some quality time together, just the two of us? I said sweetly, lifting him into my arms. Chapter 8 George's POV. My responsibilities as Luna to my mate had truly begun, and the pack was starting to accept me, except for Theophilus's mother. She still regarded me as a bad omen and made it clear that she would never support my marriage to her son. Then there was Theophilus, who effortlessly stepped into the role of a father to my son, stirring emotions within me that I thought I had buried. I found myself sitting in my living room, staring blankly at the wall as tears streamed down my cheeks. Zoe, sitting beside me, handed me a box of tissues. Georgia, what's going on? You're really worrying me. You've been like this for days, and the Omegas told me you haven't eaten. What's happening? Zoe asked, her concern evident. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my racing heart. I don't know, Zoe. Everything feels so overwhelming. Benjamin has been calling me nonstop, pleading with me, and I've come to a realization that I just can't seem to handle. I never wanted this to happen, but it has, and I feel so lost and foolish. Zoe's expression softened. What is it, Georgia? I hesitated, struggling to voice my feelings. I think I might be in love with Theophilus. Zoe's eyes widened in shock, but she quickly regained her composure. Are you serious? While it's not surprising since he is your mate, I'm thrilled that you're allowing yourself to feel love again after everything. Theophilus is a wonderful man, and you two make a great pair. I shook my head, a wave of sadness washing over me. That's just it, Zoe. I have no idea if he feels the same way. I hurt him deeply. My anger nearly cost him his life. His mother despises me and my family, and I can't help but wonder if he can ever forgive me. My life feels like a tangled mess, and I keep reliving the day Julia stabbed me, as if everything is crashing down at once. Zoe gently placed her hand on my shoulder, offering comfort. It's perfectly normal to feel overwhelmed at times. You'll get through this. Just allow yourself the time to heal and ease up on the pressure you're putting on yourself. But I want to move on from my feelings for Theophilus. He'll never feel the same way. He's probably just counting down the days until he can walk away, having fulfilled his part of the deal. Theophilus is a good guy, Georgia. I really don't think he holds any grudges. He's likely just giving you the space you need to heal and connect with your son. Honestly, I believe he has feelings for you too. I really doubt that, Zoe. You might just be saying that because he's been nice to me. Exactly. Do you show kindness to people you dislike? You might not realize it, but Theophilus checks in on you every night before you go to bed. He brings you gifts and is always there when you need him. If that's not love, I don't know what is. At that moment, Theophilus walked in, holding a bouquet of fresh flowers. Zoe quickly made her exit, leaving us alone. He handed me the flowers, a warm smile spreading across his face. I saw these and thought of you. I took the flowers, a wave of joy washing over me.
Thank you, Theophilus.
They're lovely. Theophilus settled beside me, his demeanor turning serious. Georgia, I have to apologize. I overheard part of your chat with Zoe. I want you to know that I'm not upset with you. I've made my share of mistakes too, and I'm not perfect. I admire your strength in dealing with Benjamin and Julia.
I stared at him, taken aback.
You're proud of me? He nodded earnestly. Absolutely. You're the talk of the internet right now. Everyone is praising your courage, while Julia and Benjamin are seen as the villains. Isn't that something to be proud of? My friend is a superhero, he said, planting a gentle kiss on my forehead. A wave of gratitude washed over me as I thought of Theophilus. Thank you for everything, Theophilus. I honestly don't know how I would have managed without you. His face softened at my words. You'll never have to worry about that, Georgia. I'm always going to be here for you, and I truly don't want this connection between us to fade. I met his gaze, my heart racing. Theophilus, why haven't you claimed me yet? His eyes sparkled with longing, his voice deep and smooth. My wolf has been longing to bond with you, Georgia. But I need your consent. A thrill coursed through me as I held his gaze. I understood my desires, my needs. I'm completely yours, I breathed, my voice a mere whisper. Make me yours. Chapter 9 Georgia's POV. I could hardly wrap my head around it. Theophilus and I were finally embarking on a getaway together, just the two of us in the stunning Maldives. We had chosen to indulge in a true honeymoon, far removed from the chaos and tension of our past. His mother had finally come around, accepting me as her daughter-in-law after hearing my side of the story. She even took my son to her home, while Zoe was away on a business trip representing Theophilus's company. As we lounged on the beach, soaking in the sunset, a wave of tranquility enveloped me. Theophilus held my hand, his gaze fixed on mine. I'm so grateful we're here, he murmured, his voice deep and warm. It feels like we've endured so much, and we truly deserve this time together. I smiled and nodded. I completely understand. It's wonderful to unwind and just be with each other, away from all the chaos and packed troubles, I replied, leaning in to give him a tender kiss. Who would have imagined that our circumstances could shift so quickly? I thank the moon goddess every day for bringing you into my life, he said, lifting me into his arms and carrying me to our room as I giggled like a child, showered with kisses. But unbeknownst to me, our bliss was fleeting. Back home, Theophilus's world was on the brink of upheaval. He had been receiving menacing letters from my lawyers, demanding he repay a staggering $1 billion following our divorce. The fear of arrest and imprisonment had driven him to seek solace in alcohol, drowning his worries in whiskey. In his dimly lit room, he sat with a bottle in hand when Julia stormed in, her face contorted with fury. Theophilus, you have to take action, she yelled, brandishing documents in the air. I want my life back. All my friends have turned their backs on me, and everyone treats me like an outcast in my pack because of the rumors. My boyfriend has left me, and it looks like jail might be my next stop. You pushed me into this, Benjamin. You need to fix this disaster. Benjamin, slouched on the couch, glanced up at Julia, his expression a blend of irritation and amusement. Julia, I'm really not in the mood right now, and your being here is giving me a headache. I need you to leave. Just get the hell out of my house. But Julia stood her ground. What does my mood have to do with yours? Do I look like I'm in a good place? Listen, I need you to get up and figure out a real solution to this chaos because I'm done feeling isolated. My life can't just pause because of you. Julia, you're pushing me to my limit, and I won't say it again. I told you to get your ridiculous self out of here before you force me to do something I'll regret. I'm not going anywhere until you take action, Benjamin, she replied, her eyes fierce with resolve. What do you mean take action? Last I checked, we were in this mess together, so why am I the only one being blamed? Did you suddenly remember I exist after you betrayed me? Oh, spare me the victim act. Here's what I need you to do. Take the fall for everything that happened, so I can clear my name.
What?
Are you completely insane? Why on earth does this involve me? I never asked for any of this. You approached me with your scheme, and I went along because I needed the cash. You're the one who should be behind bars, not me. Benjamin chuckled, a chilling, humorless laugh. And why would I take the fall alone, Julia? Do you really think anyone would believe your side of the story? Listen closely, we're in this mess together, and it's you and me facing jail time. Julia's grin was sly and calculated. Oh, I believe they would. You see, I have the video, and I'm ready to share it on Instagram for the world to see. What video? Benjamin asked, rising abruptly from his chair, nearly losing his balance due to the alcohol. What video are you referring to? The one where you conspired with the doctor to remove George's womb just to get back at her and prove she's barren. I also have footage of the entire transaction, including how you pocketed $500 million for selling your ex's womb. How do you feel about that, Ben? Chapter 10. You can't do this, Julia, Benjamin stuttered, panic creeping into his voice. I gave you $100 million. That should be enough to keep you quiet. We agreed not to discuss this. What's wrong with you, Julia? Julia's laughter was sharp and devoid of warmth. You really think $100 million can silence me? She retorted with a sneer. You made a fortune from that operation, along with every other organ you've sold. And you think this is enough? You must think I'm an idiot. You can't just walk away from this, Benjamin. You're going down, she declared, a wicked grin spreading across her face. Julia, please, let's not escalate this. Do you have any idea what would happen to me if the authorities got wind of this? Of course I do, and that's exactly why I'm doing it. The authorities would turn you into an international scapegoat, while I'd be hailed as a hero for exposing you. I'd get rewarded for my good deed, and then jet off to enjoy my life while you suffer. Is this really who you are, Julia? You can't even remember the good times because of a minor misunderstanding? This is how you repay me after everything I've done for you. Spare me. You did nothing but create chaos in my life. You betrayed Georgia. What's the difference if I betray you too? Seriously? You think anyone will believe you? We were in this together, and you never complained back then. Why now? If it's money you want, I can give you more, but please, don't do this. She clicked her tongue, pretending to ponder. How about you hand me $500 million right now? If you can do that, I promise I'll disappear, deal or no deal? $500 million? What makes you think I can come up with that? You know I'm completely broke and… Oh, so you're broke but still making promises? Keep it up. Julia shot back. Before Benjamin could retort, Julia whipped out her phone and went live on Instagram. I have something to confess, she said, her voice shaking. It might surprise you, but I need everyone to know that the former alpha of the Nightshade Pack is not just a liar and a cheat. He's also an organ harvester. Theophilus's face drained of color as he watched the live stream, while Benjamin's eyes narrowed dangerously. Over 300,000 viewers tuned in, their comments flooding the screen. Julia's voice gained strength and confidence. I had no idea Benjamin was this evil. He manipulated me just like he did with Alpha Georgia. Alpha Georgia, if you're watching, I hope you can forgive me. I just discovered documents in his safe because he's been threatening my life. Benjamin sold George's uterus to ensure she could never have children. But before she could finish, Benjamin yanked the phone from her grasp, fury etched on his face. How dare you? Do you even realize what you just did? I'll kill you. I swear it. He smashed the phone, and before Julia could react, he struck her hard across the face. She crumpled to the floor, blood trickling from her nose. Julia began to plead, her eyes wide with terror. Please, Benjamin, just calm down. I'll take it back. I was just upset. I'll go live again and say it was all a joke. A joke? You just told thousands, maybe millions, that I'm an organ harvester, and you think they'll take it lightly? You've painted me as a monster. I'll show you what a real organ harvester does. Someone help me. Is anyone there? Please. Benjamin wants to kill me. I don't want to die. Julia sobbed, desperately calling for help. But Benjamin only laughed, his voice cold and menacing. Everyone has abandoned me, waiting for the moment I'm finally kicked out. Julia, you're the one who put me in this predicament. You left me to navigate this chaos on my own. I'll make sure to take apart every piece of you and sell your organs for some quick cash. Sounds delightful, doesn't it?
No.
Please, I'm begging you, Ben. Don't do this. Think of everything we've shared. Goodbye, Julia. May you rot in hell and give my regards to the devil. With that, he drove the knife deep into Julia's abdomen, her cries reverberating through the room. I'll hand over your uterus to Georgia, then she'll want me back. Chapter 11. Georgia's POV. I stepped into the room, still basking in the sun's warmth from my swim. I was eager to tell Theophilus that Zoe was on her way with her partner. We had been looking forward to this for days. While I cherished my time alone with my mate, I truly missed Zoe's presence. However, as I neared him, I noticed his jaw was tight, and his gaze was glued to his phone. This was a side of him I had never seen before, and it filled me with concern. Hey, what's wrong, love? Are you all right? I asked, trying to catch a glimpse of his screen. Theophilus hesitated, his face serious. I don't want you to see this, Georgia. It's not something you need to worry about. I'll take care of it. But I could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on us. What is it? Please tell me, I urged. Are you hiding something from me? I thought we agreed to be completely honest with each other. If something's bothering you, just share it with me. Theophilus sighed, his gaze steady on mine. TM, not keeping anything from you, my love, but we need to go to the hospital, Georgia. My heart raced as I asked, Hospital? Are you unwell? Is there an allergy? Please talk to me, babe. I reached out to check on him, but he held my hands firmly. No, babe, I'm perfectly fine. I just want you to get checked. I'll explain everything later. Just get dressed. What's happening? You're scaring me. Is there a virus or something? I feel fine. I'm not sick. Theophilus's expression grew serious. Just trust me, Georgia. This is important. But what about Zoe? She's already 30 minutes away, and I wanted to welcome her dash. He placed a hand on my shoulder, quieting me. Zoe is family. She'll understand. Besides, I own this resort, so she can make herself comfortable until we get back, all right? As we drove to the hospital, my anxiety intensified. What could be so serious that Theophilus wouldn't share it with me? Theophilus, can we talk? I can't handle this any longer. I sense there's something wrong, but it seems like you're unable to share it with me. I will, but not right now. Just breathe, okay? I have everything managed. I just need to ensure that everything is all right, he replied, kissing my knuckles tenderly as we drove to the hospital in silence. Upon our arrival, the doctor conducted a scan, and then his words struck me like a heavy blow. Alpha Theophilus, we've completed the scan as you requested, but I regret to inform you that Luna Georgia does not have a womb. The doctor's statement felt like a punch to the gut. I turned to Theophilus, who was clenching his fists in frustration. Doctor, what do you mean? I've been to reputable hospitals, and no one has ever told me I lack a womb. I only have trouble carrying my pregnancy to term, which is why I chose surrogacy for my first pup. Where's your phone, babe? Theophilus interjected. I left it behind. I turned it off when we arrived at the resort to avoid distractions. Why do you ask? He handed me his phone, concern etched in his eyes. Watch this, he said softly. As I watched Julia's confession, my entire world crumbled. Benjamin had sold my uterus, robbing me of the chance to ever have children. The wave of pain and fury that crashed over me was unbearable. How could he do this? Why would Benjamin betray me like this? Selling my womb for cash, knowing how deeply I cherish children. Oh my God. He has destroyed me. I cried, collapsing to the floor, but Theophilus was there in an instant to catch me. He enveloped me in his arms, holding me tightly and kissing my hair as tears poured down my cheeks, making it hard to breathe. Don't worry, Georgia. We'll get through this together. We'll find a way to make things right, and I promise you, Benjamin won't escape justice this time, he reassured me. The doctor interjected, we'll conduct further tests to ensure all her organs are functioning properly. I'm truly sorry, Luna Georgia. Then Theophilus turned to the doctor. Is it possible for my mate to receive a new uterus? The doctor's earlier words echoed in my mind. A uterus transplant is an option, but it's challenging and costly to find a donor. Theophilus's voice broke through my thoughts. Money isn't an issue. Do whatever it takes while I focus on making that worthless Benjamin feel the same pain he inflicted on my mate. Chapter 12. George's POV. As we made our way back to the penthouse, a profound sense of emptiness settled within me. Benjamin's betrayal struck a painful chord, leaving me to ponder how he could inflict such cruelty upon me. Theophilus attempted to draw me out of my silence, but I was at a loss for words, still grappling with disbelief. I never imagined Benjamin harbored such animosity towards me. What had I done to deserve this? Upon our arrival, I noticed Zoe anxiously pacing in the living room, her face etched with worry. The moment she spotted me, she hurried over and enveloped me in a warm embrace. Oh, my sweet Georgia. Please listen to me. I know you saw the video, but you need to calm down. That fool Benjamin isn't worth your tears, she urged, her voice laced with concern. I couldn't hold back my tears any longer, and they flowed freely. Zoe held me tightly, murmuring soothing words into my ear. I went to the doctor, Zoe, and he confirmed it. My womb is gone. He took my child, and then my ability to bear children. That Benjamin is a real piece of work, she exclaimed, her voice filled with indignation. After everything you did for him, you lifted him up and made him someone to be envied when he was nothing. You absolutely do not deserve this, and I promise you, Benjamin will face the consequences of his actions. Please stop crying. It hurts to see you like this. Theophilus stepped closer, his expression serious. Zoe, I need you to do something for me. Zoe nodded, her expression serious. What is it, Alpha? I wanted to inform the pack security not to let Benjamin leave the pack grounds. I want him tracked and monitored. I want him locked behind bars for the rest of his life. Killed, in fact. I don't know, but I want him to experience so much pain, more than what he caused my Luna. Zoe's face set in a determined expression. Right away, Alpha. And another thing, do your background check on Julia too. And I want you to confirm if indeed Benjamin is involved in organ harvesting. I need all these information as soon as possible. I pulled back from Zoe's hug, wiping my tears with the back of my hand. I need some alone time, I told Theophilus, my voice barely above a whisper. Theophilus's expression turned hesitant. Georgia, don't think about Benjamin. He's not worth it. You've got me. I think what you need to do is rest. I'll ask the chef to prepare you some soup to help you relax. I've got this under control. But I shook my head, feeling a surge of frustration. Theophilus, please, I know you're looking out for me, but I'm an adult, and I just need some space to clear my head. I need some time alone to process all of this. Theophilus squinted, his concern evident. Are you really sure this is the best choice? I can't bear the thought of you being out of my sight, especially with everything that's going on. You shouldn't be out there. The whole world is buzzing about you, and you don't need that kind of attention right now. Frustration bubbled within me. I know my own feelings, Theophilus, and I know what I need to feel better. Please, I can't stand the thought of losing my sanity. Stop treating me like a child. You're my partner, not my parent. I'm your partner, and it's my duty to protect you. You can't expect me to just sit back and let you go out there with all this chaos happening. Everyone is talking about you, and social media is on fire with the news. You need to take a breath and let me take care of this. Take care of it. Just because you rescued me once doesn't mean you can keep swooping in to save me. I'm not a kid. I can handle things myself. At that moment, Zoe entered the room, concern etched on her face. I heard raised voices. What's happening? Theophilus laid out the situation, and Zoe's expression softened. Georgia, just breathe. Theophilus has your best interests at heart. I interrupted her, my resentment flaring. Please keep your unsolicited advice to yourself.
You don't get it, Zoe.
You have a womb. Yours wasn't taken and sold to who knows where. You have no right to lecture me. You don't know what I'm going through. Zoe's look was off-putting, but I brushed it aside. I snatched my keys and hurried out of the penthouse, a whirlwind of emotions churning within me. As I sped away, a wave of relief enveloped me. I craved this solitude to sort through my thoughts. However, upon reaching the secluded beach house, an unsettling sensation crept over me, as if someone was observing me. When I glanced back to identify the source, my heart raced. It was Benjamin. Chapter 13. George's POV. I sprang from my chair, as if a jolt of electricity had surged through me, my gaze locked onto Benjamin's self-satisfied grin. "What are you doing here? How did you find me?" I demanded, my voice trembling with fury. Benjamin smirked, a mischievous sparkle in his eyes. "Let's just say I have my connections. I paid off one of Alpha Theophilus's men to reveal your whereabouts. I know it was a reckless choice, but please don't hold it against me. I just needed to see you. My life has been unbearable without you." My fury erupted. "You bribed one of his men? How dare you? You still have the nerve to face me after everything? I despise you, Benjamin. Leave this place immediately." Benjamin raised his hands in a gesture of peace, a conciliatory look on his face. "That's not what matters, Georgia. I'm here to apologize, to make amends," I shouted, my voice reverberating through the beach house. "Apologize? Do you even grasp the weight of your actions? Do you understand what you've done?" I stepped closer, my fists tightly clenched. "First, you took my child from me for 4 long years. As if that wasn't enough, you publicly humiliated me, and your mate stabbed me, leaving me in a coma for months. Thankfully, I recovered. Just when I thought I could finally find some peace, you reappeared, manipulated me, and nearly drove me to harm my mate. And just when I was starting to breathe again, I discover you sold my womb for profit." I struck his chest, tears streaming down my cheeks. "What did I ever do to deserve this? Is it wrong to have loved you? Is it a crime to want nothing more than to love and be loved in return? You've shattered me beyond repair." Benjamin lowered his gaze, remorse etched on his face. "There's no excuse for my actions, Georgia. I'm truly sorry. I made a terrible mistake, but if you could just hear me out, you'd see how deeply regretful I am. You didn't deserve any of the pain I caused you. Please, find it in your heart to forgive me." I let out a bitter laugh. "A mistake? You call tearing my life apart a mistake? You are fully aware of your actions, Benjamin. I loved you, yet you chose to hurt me. Sometimes I wonder how different things might have been if Julia hadn't confessed at our anniversary dinner. How long were you planning to keep up the charade? Until I was old and gray." Benjamin stepped closer, desperation in his eyes. "I don't hate you, Georgia. Please don't say that. I loved you then, and I still do. I was just confused, unsure of what I wanted. Remember the good times we shared? Julia manipulated me, and I was too blind to see it. She sowed the seeds of doubt in my heart." He sank to his knees, hands clasped in supplication. "Please, Georgia, forgive me. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm pleading with you. I promise, this time I won't take your love for granted." I glared at him, a storm of disgust and fury raging within me. "You must think I'm a complete idiot if you believe I'd ever return to you. If you really cared for me, Julia wouldn't have been able to twist you around her finger. You wanted this." Just then, an unpleasant odor hit my nostrils, making me recoil slightly. "What is that awful smell?" I inquired, my face contorting in revulsion. Benjamin glanced around, looking bewildered. "What smell? I don't detect anything." Frustration bubbled over, and I raised my voice. "Stop lying. My wolf senses are sharp, and I can clearly sense something foul coming from you." He took a step back, his gaze flitting nervously around the room. I don't know what you mean." My attention shifted to the bag, hanging from his shoulder. "What's in that bag?" I demanded, my tone low and threatening. Benjamin hesitated, his eyes darting between the bag and me. It's nothing." I moved closer, adrenaline coursing through me. "Open it." With a slow, deliberate motion. He lowered the bag to the floor, his eyes locked onto mine. He unzipped it, revealing a small jar nestled inside. Horror washed over me as he pulled out the jar filled with blood, a sinister grin spreading across his face. "I hope this earns your forgiveness," he said, his voice laced with malice. "I brought you Julia's uterus in exchange for the one I sold." Chapter 14. George's POV. I stepped back, raising my index finger as a warning. "Stay away, Benjamin. I'm serious. Don't come any closer. You're truly wicked." His face shifted to one of feigned innocence, but I wasn't fooled.
"Why?
"What's the issue? Do you want me to open it? The uterus is still fresh. We should head to the hospital so you can start the surgery." I let out a chilling laugh. "Are you out of your mind? You actually killed Julia to take her organs and brought them here? How did you even get through airport security with something like that?" Benjamin's eyes widened in disbelief. "Why would you think I could stoop so low? Just because I betrayed you doesn't mean I'm a murderer." I raised an eyebrow, unconvinced. "Then how did Julia's uterus end up with you?" He paused, gathering his thoughts. "Julia was aware she was dying. She had a serious illness and told the doctor that if she didn't survive, her uterus should go to you because she felt guilty for how things ended between you two and thought it was the best way to seek forgiveness." A wave of confusion washed over me. "And what about that video making the rounds online? The one that shows you as an organ harvester?" Benjamin's demeanor shifted to one of defensiveness. "That was all Julia's doing. She was blackmailing me. Before she passed, she came to apologize for how things ended and wanted us to reconcile. And so you killed her because she betrayed you, right?" I asked, raising my eyebrows as my breath quickened and my eyes scanned for a way out. "I turned down Julia's advances. She got furious and demanded money for her surgery. Apparently, your lawyers were after her, and all her funds were going to pay for an attorney to defend her." Benjamin's voice escalated, his words spilling out in a frantic rush. "She stormed off after our fight, and the next thing I knew, there was a video online. I swear I would never do something like that. Julia just wanted to ruin my reputation. But I wasn't buying it." I shook my head, my tone resolute. "Even if I wanted a uterus, I wouldn't want the one from a woman who turned my life upside down and stole my marriage. I will never forgive you for what you've done. Once I return to my pack, you're out. My word is final. If this is your way of trying to win me back, you've failed because I will never forgive you." Benjamin's face twisted in desperation, his eyes wide with panic. He started scratching at his hair and body, his voice rising to a frantic pitch. "Georgia, please, you have to forgive me. I have nowhere to go, and I can't go to jail." But I wasn't listening. I turned to walk away, but Benjamin yanked me back, his grip tightening around my neck. He laughed darkly, his eyes glimmering with malice. "You don't have a choice now, do you?" I tried to scream for help, but his grip constricted around my throat, cutting off my air. I fought to break free, but he was too powerful. Benjamin cackled wildly, his eyes shimmering with a sinister gleam. "No one is coming to rescue you, Georgia. Save your breath. I've paid the staff to clear out for a bit. They didn't recognize me, of course. I was in disguise, and if I had taken you out earlier, I wouldn't have to endure your irritating face." A wave of hopelessness crashed over me. I was cornered, and help was nowhere in sight. "What do you want?" "I'll do anything my son needs his mother. Please don't kill me. I'm begging you," I pleaded, tears streaming down my cheeks as I cursed myself for ignoring Theophilus. I truly felt foolish, and that's why misfortune kept finding me. Benjamin's smile widened even further. "You'll find out soon enough." He began to drag me out of the beach house, his grip on my neck unyielding. I stumbled and fell, but he continued to pull me along mercilessly. "Someone help me. Please, someone help me," I screamed, struggling against him, the rough granite scraping my skin and drawing blood, but I refused to give in. Just when I thought all hope was lost, a gunshot pierced the air. Benjamin's head snapped up, and he froze in place. I looked up to see Theophilus at the entrance, gun in hand, his expression fierce and determined. Let her go, Benjamin. Chapter 15. I could feel Benjamin's grip tightening around my neck, his fingers pressing into my skin like a clamp. Theophilus's words seemed to bounce off him without impact. You'll never take her from me, Benjamin hissed, his eyes glinting with venom. She's mine now. Theophilus's expression darkened, his eyes igniting with rage. I won't say it again, Benjamin. Let her go, or you'll find yourself on the wrong end of a gun, Theophilus warned, his voice low and menacing. Benjamin merely chuckled, a chilling, humorless sound making a cold chilly run down my spine. What exactly does he want me for? To kill or kidnap me? If you want her to live, transfer $50,000 to my account right now, and I'll vanish from your life, Benjamin sneered. Theophilus let out a low, threatening laugh. You're pathetic, Benjamin. I expected better from you. Here's the deal. I'm not giving you a single cent. Release my mate now, or I swear, I'll make you regret it. Benjamin's face twisted with malice. You think I'm scared of you? Georgia was mine long before you showed up, and she'll always be mine. Theophilus took a step forward, his eyes blazing with fury. She's not yours. The fact that she was yours once doesn't mean she's yours. Release my mate now, or I swear, I'll dig my claws into your eyes. Benjamin's grip on my neck tightened, and I felt my airway constricting. You'll never have her. Benjamin spat. She's mine, and I'll kill her before I let you have her. Theophilus's face turned icy. We'll see about that, he snarled, baring his claws. Suddenly, he shouted an order, causing police officers to appear out of nowhere, surrounding us. One officer stepped forward, hand resting on his weapon. Benjamin, you're under arrest for the murder of Julia Henchett, your mate. Remain silent, as anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Benjamin's eyes filled with terror as he attempted to escape. However, the officers were quicker. One of them fired, hitting him in the leg, and his cry of agony echoed in the air. As they pulled him away, a wave of relief surged through me. It was finally done. Theophilus approached, concern etched on his face. He enveloped me in his arms, holding me tightly. You're finally free, Georgia, he murmured, his voice soothing against my ear. How did you find me? I asked, tears streaming down my cheeks. I tracked you here. I had a gut feeling something was off, and I couldn't leave you alone. I love you, Georgia. It's you and me for life, and I'll always keep you safe. I felt a surge of gratitude and love for Theophilus. I feel so stupid, I whispered. I should have listened to you. I should have stayed back. Theophilus's expression softened.
No, Georgia.
You did what you thought was right, and I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. I looked up at him, my eyes searching. I promise I'll always listen to you moving forward. I vowed. Theophilus's eyes crinkled at the corners as he smiled. No rules, no pace, he whispered. We are not setting any rules. There's no superiority in marriage. We are both equals. You water me and I water you, and we both grow. I felt my heart swell with emotion. I love you forever, I whispered, my voice barely audible. Theophilus's lips brushed against mine, sending shivers down my spine. I love you forever, too, he whispered back. I'll never let anyone hurt you again, Theophilus vowed, his eyes burning with determination. You're mine now, and I'll protect you with my life. I know you will, I replied, my voice filled with conviction. I trust you, Theophilus. Theophilus's face lit up with a radiant smile. I promise, Georgia, our love will conquer all. We'll face every challenge together as equals, and we'll emerge stronger and more in love than ever. I nodded, feeling a sense of peace wash over me. I'm ready for whatever comes next, I said, my voice firm. As long as I'm with you, Theophilus. Theophilus's eyes shone with adoration. Forever and always, my love, he whispered, his lips brushing against mine.